But I saw a sample of it.
Oh, hey, I wonder if I remove my background if I can see people. Should I try that? Oh,
All right, we have people still coming in, getting set up. I just want to welcome everyone to today's Wi-Fi Power Hour. Thank you for spending your lunch with us. We have a really heavy topic today that I think these three amazing ladies are going to tackle with style. But before we get going, for those of you who do not know me, I'm sure there are quite a few of you that too bad I can't see you because I would call you out. But my name's Beth Miller. I am with Floor Trends and Installation Magazine. I'm the managing editor there, and I've been in the flooring industry for nearly a decade now. And I come from a healthcare education background. I know completely different and odd, but even odder still is that I actually come from the trades. So started out working on cars and used that as a way to kind of get through school. And then, um, yeah, became a writer slash journalist, did all that. And then here we are. Here we are. I get to combine my love of trades and journalism. So anyway, everybody, welcome. We are going to cover the state of the industry topic today, but before we get going, I just want to make sure if you're not following the Wi-Fi socials, please do so. Scan the QR code and follow us for events and different things that you can be a part of. So today we have Julee Ireland, Kaytie Pickett, and Summer Turner. So Maddie, if you don't care, roll us on to the next slide. So I'm going to introduce Wi-Fi. The mission is to attract, educate, and empower women in the flooring industry. It was launched in 2021 on International Women's Day, and Women in the Floor Covering Industry is a 501c3 educational nonprofit. These are the board of directors. These ladies span a wide range of sectors. We have manufacturing and retail, flooring events, trade press, and even contracting organizations. This is our professional development committee. Just wanted to make you aware of who they are. We have, again, more across manufacturing, different shows and organizations. And a huge thanks to the corporate donors. As you can see, there's a pretty extensive list. If you're not on that list and you would like to be, please go to the Women in Floor Covering website to become a donor and keep these events going for us. Now, there is a mentoring program that we just want to make you aware of. The spring cohort is currently in session, but the fall cohort, is now available for application. So again, go to the womeninflooring.org website to sign up and get matched with a flooring professional. This program is actually designed to help you grow professionally and personally, and there is a 6-month commitment. So get signed up if you have not. The Wi-Fi Scholarship Program. I just wanted to let you guys know that for 2025, Wi-Fi has awarded $30,000 in scholarships to 16 women across the flooring industry. I am actually a Wi-Fi scholarship recipient, and I highly recommend this program. If you are considering any sort of degree, non-degree, certification, or training, please look into applying for this program. It is phenomenal. Now, there are some upcoming events that we'd like to make you aware of. The next Power Hour is July 25th. That is with Michelle Meyer and Yaisha Schooneman with AFS. September 3rd, there will be a Wi-Fi Low Country Boil fundraiser down in Dalton, Georgia. You should come out for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. September 17th, there will be a breakout session at the CFI FCI Joint Convention in Nashville. So if you've never attended convention, you really should sign up. That's an amazing event, and be sure to attend the Wi-Fi session. And just in case, if you're not sure where to locate the Power Hour schedule, you can go to the womeninflooring.org website, click on the Get Involved tab, and scroll down to Power Hour to see the list of upcoming Power Hour events. And so that brings us to today. I'd like to introduce our expert panel. We have Julee Ireland. She is a respected architectural interior and product designer, content creator, and founder of Home Renovation School. With over 25 years of experience designing luxury homes across the country, she's known for blending beauty with functionality and for advocating for wellness and sustainability in every space she creates. She's the creative force behind innovative collections in tile, stone, and wood, with upcoming launches in wallpaper, lighting, vanities, rugs, furniture, and hardware. As a brand ambassador and collaborator with leading brands, Julee bridges design, product innovation, and storytelling. Through her speaking, hosting, and educational platforms, she empowers women to lead boldly in the design build industry, bringing clarity, creativity, and contagious passion to every conversation. Next up, you want to give a shout out, Julee?
I just want to say, hey, thank you for that intro.
Kaytie Pickett is next. She is a partner at Jones Walker LLP and is the new outside general counsel of the World Floor Covering Association. Congratulations, Kaytie. That is phenomenal. With 15 years of legal experience, Kaytie has advised and represented businesses of all sizes on a broad range of matters, including regulatory compliance, contract negotiation and enforcement, and managing the fallout of business dissolutions and shareholder disputes. She graduated first in her class from Mississippi College School of Law in 2009 and is admitted to practice before the U.S. Supreme Court and multiple federal courts. Prior to joining Jones Walker in 2010, Kaytie served as a law clerk to the Honorable Risa H. Barksdale on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. So welcome, Kaytie.
Thanks, Beth.
Summer Turner, you are VP of Sales for Huali Floors. Huali is a global OEM/private label manufacturer of all types of vinyl flooring products, with a domestic manufacturing facility located in Chatsworth, Georgia. Summer oversees the sales, marketing, product and program development, and customer support team in North America. This year marks 27 years of working in the flooring industry for Summer, covering almost every angle from owning and operating specialty retail flooring stores to international manufacturing, developing programs, and selling mostly hard surface over the years, with some carpet, hardwood, and rugs to all channels. Specialty retail, buying groups, big box, wholesale, e-commerce, distribution, OEM, and contract manufacturing. Welcome, Summer.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, ladies, are you guys ready to tackle this topic?
Yeah.
Let's
All
do it.
right.
Let's go.
So for our first round of questions, we are going to cover state of the market, where we are now. Julee, we're going to kick off with you. From the design side, what's changed most and what clients are asking for in the last 12 months?
I would say, you know what, I think wellness is on the forefront. You know, I think my clients, they want to know where products are made, how they're made. They're asking a lot of questions about products. And I mean, I don't think in the last couple of years, I think every single house I've designed has had some kind of wellness incorporated into it, from steam showers to saunas to cold plunges. I put a gym. I've had every single client has wanted an in-house gym. And again, my clients are just asking a lot of questions. They want low VOC. They want to know, you know, are the products healthy for them? And, you know, in the past, they would just rely on the designer to just kind of pick something out, and they wouldn't really ask a lot of questions. They would go, well, yeah, that looks beautiful, great. But I think, to me, that's the main shift. Like, we're globally aware of our environments, right? And we're spending a lot more time at home after COVID. You know, I think, you know, we have work centers. We're all working from home. I work from home quite a bit now, a lot more than I did in the past. So to me, it's that global shift towards wellness and really wanting to understand what's underfoot, you know?
All right, Summer. From a sales and manufacturing angle, are you seeing volume rebound, plateau, or something else?
Yeah, so this year, 2025, it's been a very interesting year, I think, for all of us, not just from the political angle, I guess. There's been so many unique factors that everyone's been dealing with and finding challenging ways to navigate. But, interestingly, we are seeing on the commercial markets, there's steady growth this year on the commercial side. There's steady growth on the hospitality side, especially, Julie, to your point, post-COVID that changed a lot of things on the hospitality world. So there's been a lot of funding going into renovating facilities, a lot of new hotels, new resorts. So we're seeing a lot of flooring work going into those areas, and it's been fun to see that. I guess with those investments in those areas, people are just getting so much more creative with what they're using in those spaces too. So it's not just your beige on beige on beige. There's so much unique texture and colors and things like
Yeah.
that. It's been really cool to see people get creative like that. The big box channels, yeah, those interestingly are continuing to grow too. I think it's kind of a catch-22 in our world. My original background is on the specialty flooring, small business. I still have a huge passion for that and I want to see it flourish. But as you know, there's fewer brick and mortars and a lot of people are utilizing the big boxes to do their shopping because they're open 7 days a week, and many, many long hours during the week. And it's interesting to see that space and how it's grown and changing in the marketing and the messaging to the consumers. Um, and then also on the residential retail side, for 2025 so far this year, I think I try to stay in touch with a lot of my colleagues in the industry, whether they're still, if they're owning a store or if they're a distributor, just try to kind of get the feel of the market in those areas. And it's not that it's declined from what I've heard. I think it's been a little soft this year for sure. And right now, of course, with summer break, it's a cycle every year. It's slow. But I do think the political factors have impacted the mom and pops a little more than most this year. But hopefully, I think, I know we'll talk about it here in a little bit about the tariff situation. But I think once we get some resolution and people have that comfort level build back up, that the world's not stopping spinning, we can start focusing on our renovation projects and add on that extra room or whatever it is that they have in mind that they're wanting to do, and let's do it, let's get it done. So we'll see that area pick up, I think, soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of uncertainty, right? So it's really just a matter of let's just wait and see. I think that's where a lot of folks' mindsets are currently. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Kaytie, for you, how are legal trends reflecting changes in risk or regulation across the industry?
So one of the biggest legal trends that has gotten a lot of press is the increase in immigration enforcement by this administration. There's already a labor shortage in the construction industry, and just initial reports are that contractors are really struggling with the impact of these raids. The focus in the news has really been on deportations and arrests of workers, but it's important for the people on this call to understand that employers or even those who enter into independent contractor agreements with undocumented workers can face potential liability. And I should say this, I am a lawyer, but I'm not giving legal advice today. I'm not forming an attorney-client relationship with anyone. I'm just giving everyone a general idea of the state of the law. But yeah, the immigration world is kind of scary right now, and employers face potential liability, not just for employing undocumented workers, but even just for having poorly executed I-9s. So I had a client during the first Trump administration who went through an I-9 audit, and it was miserable because the ICE can impose penalties just for someone signing on the wrong line.
Oh,
Yeah, it's scary. So that's certainly an increased risk that I would encourage business owners to evaluate. I have also seen just in general an increase in environmental litigation, just not specific to the flooring industry, but across the legal market. And I think most people are familiar with the big lumber liquidators case where they were sued over the formaldehyde. Morgan and Morgan is currently soliciting class action plaintiffs for a similar case against Eternity Flooring. So that's something to be on the lookout for. This administration is less, I would say, environmentally focused, but that doesn't stop plaintiffs' lawyers or NGOs from really trying to take on the burden and the benefit, if they recover a lot of money, of enforcing environmental regulations. So I would say that, and I don't want to suck up all the air here, but deceptive trade practices, I think, is also a hot button issue for plaintiffs' lawyers. And one case that I'm looking at is in Tennessee against RW Supply and Tecton. And that's publicly reported, but the allegations, and they're just allegations at this point, obviously it hasn't gone to trial. I don't know if it's true or not, but the allegations are that the products were mislabeled as being from Appalachia when they were really manufactured in Cambodia, and that they were called white oak when they're actually red oak. And I see in that just an increase in the plaintiffs' lawyers looking at the flooring industry and really trying to capitalize on that massive lumber liquidators settlement and thinking, how can I get something like that?
wow. Yeah, I think it's so important that, like I say, my clients want to know what's in their products.
Mhm.
And I think this is why what you're speaking to right now, I've read a little bit about this, and yeah, it's like people are mislabeling things, and it's not okay. So I'm glad that something's being done about it finally, because we should know what's in our products. That affects our air quality, and our homes are making us sick, through, products in our house that are unhealthy. It affects our air that we breathe, right? So I'm kind of, that's great that I think something's finally being done about this.
Well, and it also affects buying, correct? I mean, think about it. If you don't really know what you're buying, I mean, that's a question that gets asked a lot, is what is this flooring, when things, manufacturers tend to get really creative with names, and it oftentimes doesn't really tell you what it is. So SPC, is it WPC? I don't know. So
Yeah. And what's interesting about the RW Supply case is it's against not just the manufacturer, but also the retailer. But in that case, the retailer and the manufacturer, I think, have a common parent company. But a common strategy in the plaintiff's bar is to name the seller because they're local, in the hopes that they can keep it in a friendly state court jurisdiction and not have it moved to federal court. Now, this one is in federal court, but simply because you don't make the product doesn't make you immune from being sued. It does mean you might be able to get it dismissed, but people file garbage lawsuits all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Summer? What are you like? I mean, are you dealing with this too? Like,
Yeah, no, I'm very interested, Summer, in your perception of what the legal risks are that
Yeah.
manufacturers are facing.
Yeah, so we could have a whole nother call on this. In light of probably some of those recent lawsuits that you mentioned, there's been so much more ask as a manufacturer for transparency from, and what we like to call when we do a factory tour is starting from powder to pallet. So from every single ingredient that goes into our product all the way to out the door, including that pallet that it's on, we have to have fumigated pallets and have to, be able to document that. So, yeah, it's extremely important that we basically interview all of our suppliers too, and we have to keep documents that they have the guarantees and the certifications for what those ingredients are that they're selling us. Just the same we do for our customers, and yeah, all of our key customers require, and we wouldn't want to sell something that we couldn't put our stamp on, but they all require us to have all those indoor air quality certifications that you mentioned, like the Floor Score, Green Guard Gold. We have Assure, which is one of the newer ones that helps to hold the quality, not just for the indoor air quality, but also the construction, the performance. We make sure that we make the absolute best constructions that we can. And it makes my job a whole lot easier too, just to know that everything that we have going out the door has those standards to it. But yeah, it's definitely a lot more goes in behind the scenes of getting product into the market than people think. You don't just pick a pretty film and put it on a product and sell it. There's a lot of documentation and traceability requirements. Yeah.
Yeah.
So transparency is the bottom line.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next topic. We're going to tackle tariffs, trade, and supply chain shifts. So, Summer, back to you. In your business, how are you navigating rising material costs or sourcing constraints?
Yeah, it's been challenging. Huali as a company, fortunately, I don't know if everybody here knows that we have manufacturing facilities in China and Vietnam, Thailand, just as of the last part of last year, and of course here in the USA. But most of those moves outside of China happened just over the last 2 or 3 years. So we were very fortunate to get a head start on strategically moving the majority of our supply chain outside of China, which has been the heaviest impact on the tariff situation, as we all know. Here for the U.S. manufacturing, the main ingredients, like the major ingredients, I guess you'd say, of what we put into our products are all locally sourced, which also helps. But as you guys know, there's been more and more factories show up here in the US. And so, yeah, supply chain for a lot of the ingredients are getting limited in a sense to where supply and demand, they can raise the prices too. So there's certainly a lot of battle. What we also try to do is increase our shelf stock of raw materials. So we have a lot more stable cost, if you will, that can spread out over time. I know in the next couple of weeks when the pause lifts, we'll know a lot more. But as of today, like I said, we've gotten a really good head start on controlling those costs and not having to relay those to the customers. It was interesting when the last big peak happened. I guess it was in early April, right? I was actually over at our factory in China. So here it's 12 hours difference, right? You're 12 hours later there. Everybody here's asleep, but I'm awake. But within about a week period, this and I know you guys read the news and followed it, I'm sure, but the peaks and the valleys, there was one point during that week that we were going to be building another building here in the US just to keep up with the demand of the new business that was coming, because everybody wanted to find another location outside of having to import product in, which meant it's great for the US factory. We're going to make so much more material. And then the tariffs, all of those lifted, or not all of them lifted, but most of them went back down to 10% for most areas. And so that whole plan went away. But it was just crazy just trying to navigate and get ahead of any complication and just make sure that we had the best option or solution for our customers for the manufacturing facility. But yeah, I feel like I'm rambling, but it was a crazy period during that week.
Yeah,
not much sleep.
Yeah, I was like, what's happening? What's happening? I still feel like it's like that. I'm like every other day, what is happening? Like,
yeah, everyone's having a pivot on the minute Not the
Yeah,
day, not the
that's a good
hour.
one. Pivot on the
minute.
minute. I like that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Been on the minute.
Pivot on the minute.
Yeah.
All right, Kaytie,
Yeah.
what should small flooring businesses understand about staying compliant with import-export changes?
Oh, so for the most part, if a small flooring business is not directly, I mean, not for the most part, period. If they aren't the importer, they're not the one facing legal liability for the tariffs. But their suppliers can pass those costs downstream, right? And have to some degree. So if a flooring business is an importer, that's a much more complicated question, right? So the importer is who has to pay the tariff, or even if they've contractually shifted the obligation to the manufacturer overseas, they're still the one who's legally liable for the tariff. And just keeping track of the state of the tariffs is really a significant undertaking, as Summer was saying. Like it has just been a nightmare. Right now, not only is there a pause on the Chinese specific rate and the other countries, and there are two different pauses, but also there's a legal challenge. There's a lawsuit pending that went to the Court of International Trade first. And the Court of International Trade said these tariffs are illegal because they exceed the president's powers, because this isn't a national emergency. But then the federal circuit, that got appealed, and the federal circuit said, well, wait, we're going to stay the stay, basically. So the tariffs are still on at the moment, but that case is set to go to oral argument July 31st. So we are following that closely because, the president, separation of powers is an interesting thing, right? The executive can do and say one thing, and if the courts say something else, then we have a different result. So we'll see.
That is going to be so interesting. I wrote
Yeah.
that date down. Thanks for sharing that, Kaytie, because I'm going to be watching that too. Like, wow.
Yeah, I've actually argued to that court before. The Federal Circuit is a court in DC that hears appeals from agencies and hears a specific limited type of case, and customs and tariff issues. And they typically make their arguments available. You can't watch it, but you can listen to it online.
Mhm.
So in fact, Andrea, if you want me to share the link to that site, I'd be happy to.
Ooh, I would love for you to. I would
Yeah,
love
that'd be great.
that.
Sure.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, not cool, but you know what I mean.
Interesting. It's interesting.
Interesting. That's right. We're living in interesting
The
times.
nerdy girl in me wants to know it all. Okay.
And
So,
I think too. Oh, go ahead.
I see an audience question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've got one from Veronica that says, so what happens for those 20 days in between the stay and the oral arguments?
So the tariffs are in place. I mean, what's really going to be interesting is what happens between July 9th, when part of the pause lifts, and the argument on July 31st. And the answer is they're in place during that time, is my understanding, but I would encourage you to consult your own lawyer.
But again, pivot by the minute. Pivot
Yep.
by the minute.
go buy
That's
all
our
your
phrase for today.
now.
We had a lot of, not a lot, there were a handful of customers that came to us in near panic mode. Like, what are we going to do? what are we going to do? And I like to try to be the voice of reason and calming whenever I possibly can. But the thing is this is not affecting just flooring. Yeah, that's our world, and it hugely affects us. But you name it, anything around your house, and so automotive, everything. It impacts everything, and you shouldn't feel like the huge burden of I've got to raise my prices. I'm going to lose all my customers. Everybody's going to have to. Everybody's just going to. Once we realize what this cost impact is, you have to. You can't afford not to raise the prices to accommodate, and the consumers are going to know that this is why. And that they have to come to the fact that it's just life. So don't stress yourself out about it. I don't think. I think it's just um, analyzing the whole scenario and continue to be as competitive as you possibly can, but just know that it's not just you. If that helps.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, nothing is forever, right? We're dealing with this right now. Pivot by the minute. Love that, right, Beth? Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I mean, the suppliers and stuff, I build luxury homes, as you know, across the country. And I've had a lot of the suppliers, like with these tariffs, like they're basically kind of eating a lot of it, right? Like they're just trying to break even. So in other words, we all want to keep our customers, and they're doing whatever they can. And I believe that even when we figure out what's happening and what the percentage is really going to be and whatever, they just understand that for, the rest of this presidency, whatever it ends up being, I don't see them like I see most suppliers, in other words, kind of splitting that cost, or at least that's what I experienced like in the very beginning when this came out. Was some, I had to buy some things from Canada, shutters, things like that. And they had a tariff placed on them, but they just kind of, they said, hey, we're not going to charge you this full amount. We're just lowering our profit margin, and we're going to eat part of it, and it's X a little bit more for you. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen with a lot of people. We're going to try and find that nice balance,
Sure. Yeah,
So.
and I would add to that and say I think a lot of that depends on the extent to which the exporters are willing to compromise with the importers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so an exporter doesn't want to lose all of their business because suddenly the tariffs are so high that no one wants to buy from them. So,
Right.
I mean, but everybody has to maintain a profit margin.
Mhm.
So, it's interesting to see how that works out through the supply chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've absorbed a lot, and there's a point where you have to offset some, share some, but to your point, depending on where that percentage ends up being, there's a difference in 10%. I think it's fairly palatable for most everyone, but 140%, there's just no way, some of those crazy numbers, there's just no way that the supplier, the exporter could absorb all of that. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
Yeah, we're going to have to work together.
Mhm.
Like globally, we have to work together.
Yeah.
Well, Julie, finish what you were talking about earlier. How are these changes impacting your timelines or material choices for projects? You kind of answered a little bit of that, but keep going.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it first came out, right? Like I have 5 new builds going on across the country, and these are all, 14, 15, 16,000 square foot homes. So they're large in scale. And, we were like looking at things at first and going, okay, hold on. We've got shutters, for an entire house coming from Canada. We need to buy this right now. So on several of my projects, we went ahead before increases and things came in, and we placed those large orders, wait a little bit farther in advance than we really needed to. And then things settled. One day it was like, oh, it's a 50% tariff. Oh, then a week later, oh, now it's 25%. So it's just kind of, very up in the air. But the homes that I do, because they're luxury builds, it's like, okay, well, the client still is going to build their house at the same kind of level. They kind of luckily have the funds to be able to do that. So it's a little bit different, but I think it's impacting maybe more of the middle range homes a little bit more than it is the luxury. However, that's increasing budgets, right? So if your price in one thing goes up, so my challenge as a designer is trying to find the balance for that. Mm-hmm. So like I went back through my design file and I'm like, okay, well, the shutters were X over, 10% more than what we had planned for. So where do I get that, gain back that 10%? So trying to find products that are local or that are here or whatever. So it's just like a balancing game, and things are just, they're just up in the air. We just don't know. My clients aren't necessarily freaking out about it, but at first they were, because, we're just like, what the heck is going on? But I think things are still up in the air. We just have to wait and see. And, I guess I'm able to like bring some calmness to situations. It's just part of the art of, how I communicate with people, right? Calm them down. But at the end of the day, you still need to build a house, and you still need your trim, and you still need your flooring, and you still need your tile. It's just going to be artfully shifting that budget around and the numbers to make it work. So it's a challenge, right? But that's why we love this industry too, partially is because, we are constantly reinventing things, and every day is different and it's always changing. And, this is life. Life is nothing is forever, it's always changing. So I think adapting, staying adaptable and staying calm, like it'll all work out. Is probably, I guess, my advice and how I'm approaching it, and how my clients are feeling about it.
Well,
And
we've been through this once before.
positive.
Yeah, that's right. Stay positive.
Yeah. Very important to stay positive.
All right, let's switch gears to a little slightly less heavy topic and focus on trends for 2025. So Summer, I'm going to start with you. What sales trends are surprising you so far in 2025?
There's really nothing that's been a huge surprise to say, because there's really no major new innovation to speak of. So when it comes to trends, I immediately think of color and design and patterns. It is interesting to me how some markets, the whole 50 Shades of Gray, everybody couldn't get enough gray.
So glad it's not gray anymore, you guys.
Well, you say that, but I can literally go into 2 different stores, so 10 miles from each other in the Atlanta area, we'll just say, and one will absolutely throw your display, not really throw your displays out, but throw the samples out. They don't want any gray, and then the next one you go into, they can't get enough. It's crazy how the gray's still alive in some areas, but yeah, no, I don't think outside of that there certainly is still. I think maybe 2-3 years ago, the trend towards blondes started. More of the Scandinavian, the clean, less rustics. That's still very much growing. And just it's amazing to see some of the things that we've been able to do with color and how realistic we can get it. It's fun.
Yeah, we all transitioned to color right after COVID because we all realized we were trapped in our homes. Oh my God, everything here is white, gray, or brown. And so we shifted and went a little nuts, I think, with color. And now we're coming to our senses by throwing some neutrals back in there.
Yeah.
I think beige is the new white for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about what's going on right now in trends in the market and is personalization. I think that COVID changed all of us so much. We were in our spaces by ourselves and not, having a lot of noise around us, right? It allowed us to kind of go inward and really think about, well, when you have to sit in silence, right? And you have to be by yourself or in a place, it does force you to kind of go inward and start talking to yourself and really understanding what makes you happy. What,
Mhm.
you're looking at your wall, you're like, why do I have white walls? You know what? I love burgundy. I'm going to paint my wall burgundy. So I love that there is so much more color. And I feel like people are not afraid to personalize their spaces, which is what I'm loving as a designer. My clients are wanting their off, if they love lavender, to do an all color drenching lavender office or something. And so people are embracing color, personalization. And again, that wellness is super important. All my clients are carving out wellness areas, from yoga rooms to meditation spots to gyms, and not afraid to bring color, texture, pattern in. And then to your point, Summer, what I love too about the products is everyone's getting so creative, with pattern, with texture, with color, as technology is advancing at lightning speed. What we can do with tile is incredible, even the printing surface, even glass.
Mhm.
I work with Glass Lab, which is absolutely incredible. They are the glass artisans. And if you're, for instance, buying glass from a local supplier to put in your shower door, chances are it's from Glass Lab. So they're a major supplier. But even what they're doing with glass, etching, you could give them a photograph of your family, and that could be literally looks photorealistic on a piece of glass. So I think products have come so far, and people are becoming much more innovative. And then us as people, we're wanting to create spaces that make us happy and make us feel good. And I love that we're not afraid to go a little bit bold. I'm doing very dark, moody, even offices too, like, man caves. I am so sorry because I had my ringer turned off, and apparently that didn't work. But
Well, out of all those trends, Julie, which one do you think is the one to watch for 2025?
I think color. I think color and texture, and even in flooring, right? Like all my clients are wanting to, create, chevron, herringbone, even inlays in wood, and so they're wanting to really get creative with their flooring. Same thing with their tile, um, I think, slab is still really, I work a lot with Cosentino. Their decked on is beautiful. That people are still using, like, they want their showers with like moments where, they want less grout and things like that. So slab walls and focal walls are still really, really big. But mixing it with like large format, tile or smaller format, creating patterns. So I think it's all about color, pattern, and texture for 2025 and beyond. I go to all the shows in Europe, and the reason why I do a lot of travel and have for years and go visit quarries and things like that is because Europe really sets the trends, right? So when you see something in Europe, you better believe in about 2 years it's going to land here in the US. So I've seen everything that's here right now. I saw a couple of years ago, the greens, the burgundies, even the darker, moodier colors, um, texture, even like botanicals, and bringing nature indoors. And that is being done through, walls from, I work with a company called Iconi. They have beautiful, like, fluted wood and different textures and patterns of panels that you can use as accents on cabinets or on walls to create focal moments. And I think all of those are trends that are kind of here to stay. They were in Europe, they're here. Tile with botanical and nature
right.
print on them, you know?
We're running out of time, so I'm gonna call it. And it's time for folks to start asking questions. So shoot us some questions in the chat, raise your hand, all those good things.
Love it. Yeah. Are people raising their hand?
All right, Kaytie shared the link in the chat if anyone's interested.
Let's see. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, wow. There's a lot of questions.
Well, we don't have any. Let's see here. What do we got? What about taking into account compatibility of mixed media flooring? What are we talking about here? Flooring failures.
A compatibility of mixed media. Well, I think it's important when you're mixing, you know, like a tile to wood or something, that you really think about, you have to think about the heights of those different materials and how they come together. So it's the details on how you bring them together. And that's true even with your walls in tile or wood or anything. Anytime you're bringing two surfaces together, it's being thoughtful. I personally do not like to take like a wood floor and go into tile like in like a living space area. So like if it's a great room kitchen, you'll never see me mix that. If we're doing wood, we're doing wood. And I definitely break a few rules too. And I think rules in some situations when it comes to design are meant to be broken anyway. I think you should do what you love and live with what you love, right? What makes you happy? Surround yourself with what makes you happy.
All right. So if a flooring retailer were to introduce another non-flooring material, what would you recommend? Wallpaper, wood wall panels, etc. Say that's for you, Julie.
Yeah, you know what? I think for sure wall panels would be a great thing for flooring manufacturer because they really kind of go hand in hand. You're going to want to kind of match the tone of whatever your panels are to the tone of your wood flooring. And it is such a big trend. Like look at Iconi, that would be a great place because they do, you know, sell wholesale and whatever. That would be a great thing. And I also think wallpaper, you're right on wallpaper. Bringing in wallpaper could be a really great thing. You know, maybe even like removable, like wallpaper, something that's simple and easy.
Like a pill and stick type, maybe.
Mhm,
Like a pill and stick.
mhm.
And also on the wall panels, I've seen a big trend going to the acoustical wall panels too. So they offer more benefit than just the aesthetic, like the look of it. You're getting a lot more absorbency. So your big, great spaces or even into the Main Street commercial, that's a great option.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm using them in a theater. So yeah, you're right. You get two things out of one, right? You're getting a bonus there by the acoustics and then also the beautiful aesthetics of how that looks on your wall. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that.
All right, Summer, does LVP or laminate devalue a home versus wood or tile, increasing the value?
It's like the question of, do you want the Pinto or the Bugatti?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. There's entry level and premium of both. Yeah, I'm a little partial because we make the vinyl products, but I also know there's some very nice laminate products in the market. So I think if you know, you've got to look at the home value, the area around your homes, the comps, and really try to make sure you don't under evaluate just because you know, you've got the champagne taste and beer budget. You don't put something that doesn't belong in the house that it belongs in the house. So yeah, I think if it's you're just flipping it, you want something pretty and new, that's one thing. But if it's something that you're, you know, in the mid to high range homes, I think you've got to spend a little more on the flooring. And, you know, when you look at everything that goes in the home, lighting, um, fixtures, things like that, that can really get the budget, you blow the budget fast when, yeah, they look pretty, but you don't touch them, so maybe you don't need to spend as much money on some of those things where you're walking on the floor daily. So I think that, yeah, I think no, to answer your question, I don't think it devalues the home as long as you get the right quality for the home, the value of the home, if that makes sense.
All right,
Yeah.
we got about 3 minutes left. So there's 2 more questions. With the warmer tones coming in from Europe, are you seeing a growth in warmer/browner tones in flooring as well?
Absolutely.
1000%.
And in cabinets, 100% things are going warmer. I mean, I'm mixing them. So I'm mixing like dark walnuts with maybe a lighter white oak. And yeah, I think you're seeing a variety of wood tones in the space, right? Instead of it being all like Summer mentioned earlier, like a few years ago, it was white oak everything and blonde floors everywhere. Now those warmer tones, we're mixing it all together, and it's just so much more interesting. And it feels very European too, by the way, right? It gives you that little bit of old world feel when you've got just a darker, warmer tone.
All right, so any predictions for 26 trends yet? What do you guys think?
I mean, fluted materials are in. Someone's asking here about fluted
That's the
tile.
next question, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fluted materials definitely in. I think we're staying on track with what we have now. That's going to carry into 2026. We're still going to see color, warmer tones, interesting textures, patterns, color, use of marble and stone, and then porcelain tile, creating, those realistic look. They're so realistic now. You can't even tell that it's not the real marble on your wall anymore. So yeah, that's my take on it.
All right, guys, any more questions? You're on a roll. We could take one more. We could take one more.
Beth, I think Claudia has her hand up. I can see.
Okay.
I don't know
I
if
see, yes.
Claudia.
Can we unmute her?
Any
See. Maybe not. She has her hand raised on the screen, but maybe.
Love it. Love it.
Okay. I guess drop in the chat, Claudia, because we can't hear you.
Oh, there's a new
Oh,
message.
wait, there it went off. Okay, let's see here. Any other resources to use on tariffs and customs? I can't get U.S. Customs to even respond on email. They say no phone calls. Kaytie.
It dealing with any level of government bureaucracy, state or federal, is miserable. So you have my sympathy on not being able to get them to respond to an email.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Claudia Lozelle. How are you doing?
Good.
I feel like I'm calling in on a radio show.
Go ahead, caller.
So I put a whole lot of information in that chat. I'm not. I don't really want to ask too many questions, but there's a lot of really good information. I'm an emeritus interior designer, and I've been in the flooring industry for 40 plus years, and 30 of which I've been in the design, build, restoration, cleaning, and inspection, forensic sides of things. So you guys are talking about really important things as far as style and everything goes, but the question I asked about the compatibility of the multimedia applies to everything, including showers and facades and you name it. So I did share some resources there if anybody wants to check it out. I'm not trying to sell my website, but I'm into more floor failure avoidance than floor failure analysis. And I've been speaking on this since 1995 at national conventions. But anyways, Thanks for letting me talk.
That'd be amazing. I would love it. Yeah, drop it in there.
And thank you for advocating
It's
for that,
dropping.
because it is always a challenge with a lot of designers that we've encountered over the days. They think, yeah, this is beautiful, this is going to look great in that space, but it's not the right product for the space. And to your point, you get the failure and the disappointment, and it puts the bad name for the product. So thank you for advocating that.
For sure. And warranty claims are expensive
Yes.
and difficult for
everybody.
everyone involved.
Yes.
So better to avoid it on the front end.
Yes.
Claudia, will you reach out to me? I put my email and my name in the chat. Now, anyone can, but Claudia, I'd like to have another conversation with you about that topic. So please reach out to me. That would be fantastic. All right.
Yeah.
Kaytie, would you like to finish your thought?
Oh, I typed up a little something. I mean, if you're an importer, if you're not working with a customs broker, I would encourage you to look at that. That can certainly smooth the relationship with Customs and Border Patrol. But look for a lawyer with experience with dealing with that particular agency and even ideally in that particular port.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Great.
All right,
advice.
guys. This has been phenomenal.
Thank y'all
Wanna-
so much.
Want to
It was
thank
a
everyone
delight.
who showed up. Please scan the QR code, give us your feedback. And also, if you're not a friend of Wi-Fi and you'd really like to be supportive on the financial side, we'd love to have you. So again, you can scan that QR code and start working with us. We'd appreciate that. But everybody, thank you.
Yes. Thank y'all.
Thanks,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Good luck.
Thanks for joining
Thank you
us.
to our speakers and
Thank you. It was so fun.
That was
Let's
awesome.
learn so
Yes,
much.
good
It's great.
job. Good
Thank you
job.
for helping with it.
Everyone have a beautiful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye, y'all.
Bye.